What do these four people have in common? West Point graduates with high honors, successful salespeople, spelling bee champions, and rookie school teachers in difficult districts who survive. What do they have in common? According to Angela Duckworth, it is grit. She's a psychologist that looked at these four areas of success and simply asked, how do people survive and thrive in difficult circumstances? The answer might surprise you. It is not their IQ. It's not even necessarily their EQ, their emotional quotient. It is not their upbringing, their economics. It is not their ethnicity. It is their ability to get back up one more time than they get knocked down. It's grit. Don't you want it? Success in life is determined in large part, in fact, a very large part, by grit. And grit is gained in two specific ways. The first, gritty people are people who look around them at those they are responsible to and responsible for. In other words, they have a clear eye of people around them that they lead and are leading up to. Second, they're people that have an uncanny ability to look forward to the future rewards for their present suffering, so that they're willing to go through the extra mile, the extra pain, the extra effort to succeed. Look around, look forward. That makes you gritty. And that introduces our core verse of the day. It comes from Hebrews chapter 12. It's an interesting passage that says, therefore, that's important, we'll circle back around. Therefore, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight and sin which clings so closely, and let us run with endurance the race that is set before us, looking to Jesus, the founder and perfecter of our faith, who, for the joy set before him, endured the cross, despising the shame, and is seated at the right hand of the throne of God. It's a powerful passage. Two things I want to point out. First of all, witnesses. Look to the witnesses. That's the idea of looking around, looking at who you're reporting to and look at who you are responsible for. Who are the witnesses of Hebrews chapter 12? Well, that's where the therefore comes into play. Therefore is concluding chapter 11, what you might think of as the Hall of Fame of the faith. There's Abraham and Noah and Joshua. All of these heroes of the Old Testament are listed because by faith they lived out their loyalty to God. They are our witnesses. So when we're running our own race, you have to understand, the end of chapter 11 said, these are not fulfilled. The heritage is not completed because they passed the baton on to you. And if you don't run your race well, then they ran for naught. The witnesses around us are not beer bellies on the 50-yard line yelling at the ref. No, these are people who line the track, that have already run their race, given you the baton and said, now you run to complete the course until the coming of Jesus. And that's the second aspect of this verse. We have the ability to look forward to the reward that we will get for the sacrifices we make now. That will make you gritty. For the rest of the chapter in Core 52, I want to introduce you to some specific steps that will not only make you gritty if you train for them, but allow you to train others for grit. This is one of the most practical chapters of the entire book. So, for example, if you want to gain grit, one of the things I talk about, and probably the most important thing, is delayed gratification. Your ability to suffer now to be rewarded later is a powerful aspect for you gaining grit. In fact, it's been detailed through what's called the marshmallow experiment. I'm not going to tell you what it is. Just Google it. The marshmallow experiment will teach you everything you need to know about why you need to have delayed gratification. On the other side, when you're mentoring people for grit, One of the most important things that I've discovered in discipling young men in their faith is not sitting down and talking theology with them, but actually giving them practical assignments. I didn't come up with this myself. I actually looked to the Apostle Paul and how he mentored young Timothy. Do you realize that Timothy followed Paul for the better part of a year before he ever taught anyone anything? Most of the time, he wasn't even with Paul. He was his errand boy, running here and running there, taking letters to Thessalonica and Philippi and Berea. That was his job, to obey his leader, to gain grit. So if you're going to grow grit in other people, then you need to give them difficult assignments that will challenge them. And when they're ready, then they get to mentor others to gain the grit that they have grown. Grit, hugely important, and it goes back to the Bible itself.